Welcome to the YouTube. Y'all can see a crazy different environment here starting off. And that's because I told y'all in the previous video that this one is going to be based around my mentality and my, physiology with training. So the entire environment, the entire video is going to be in and around the gym. Some legs today. No better day to talk about your mentality going to the gym than on a leg day. So first off, something I always do, I usually do this before the gym, but since we're recording this, we're doing it here, is get fully suited up. I think when training, you need to put yourself into a routine and getting yourself ready to actually go work out and go to the gym. Now, that starts with the outfit for me. And on leg days, it comes all the way down to the shoes that I wear, because I wear the exact same shoes every single leg day until I can no longer wear them. I've already downed my Rice Krispies. We're gonna go ahead and make our pre, sip on that while we get nice and loosed up. I do think that a little 5-minute, maybe even 7-minute warm up, whether that's just rolling out, doing some swinging leg kicks, some stretching before to get yourself really dialed in, it's game changing for a lift. And of course, a really good quality pre-workout is gonna help you stay pretty focused, but you should already be pretty focused from everything else you're doing prior to this. Something I preach and I've already spoke about is routine. And I do think that every time I wear, my hoodie and my sweatpants, I put on the clothes that I usually train in. I've done that for years straight now. My body knows that whenever I put these clothes on, I'm about to go train, and it is ready to, push itself to those limits. So I am heavy on, pick something small, like maybe a hat, or maybe a chain, or a pair of shoes, or a shirt, or a beater, or a style of clothing, to put on before you go to the gym, to just kind of get your body ready to know, like, hey, we're wearing these things, we're about to go train. I never wear sweatpants, a pump cover, a beater, and a hoodie unless I'm going to train. I do not layer like that anywhere else other than for the gym. I do believe in very high intensity training. I do 1 to 2 sets for pretty much every exercise, and I do train to failure on every single set. There's only 0 or failure. There's nothing in between that. You are going to go balls to the wall, and that is it. All right, well, let's go get warmed up for the lift. There's gonna be some talking in between sets, so that way I can kind of run it all down, every little thing within rest time, reps, what my warm-up sets look like, all of that, and how that varies exercise to exercise. We're about halfway through our pre, so let's talk about a few things that I personally like to do with timing my pre-workout, my carbs, and what I'm actually doing right now. I'm not using it how most people do. Now, whenever I go to foam roll, it just does not work for me. So I have to use something a little bit harder and a little bit more stable so I can really roll those knots out. So right now, I'm getting my shoulders loose, getting my lats a little loosened up. That way I'm not tight and it doesn't really interfere with anything I'm doing during this workout. I do recommend doing some sort of rolling out every lift. It feels phenomenal. It has helped me to, if I'm feeling a little tight in an area, whenever I actually go to do an exercise, like let's say I'm doing chest or back, I don't feel like my shoulders are tight. I can do it, I feel really loosened and really wide. So I recommend, grabbing a foam roller if you want to start with that. I personally never really felt a foam roller the same as I do this. A little bit slower, I can control it a little bit better than a foam roller and really dig in. Now, pre-workout timing. It's a little bit different today for me, but the carbs were still 8 at the same time. I always eat my carbs probably about 15 minutes away from the gym, sometimes 20, and then I start drinking my pre-workout immediately after that. About 5 minutes after I finish eating whatever carbs I'm having, I do start to sip on my pre. Ideally, you want to drink your pre in 5-10 minutes, so your carbs are realistically getting eaten, 20 minutes before the gym, sometimes up to 30 minutes. That's all right, depending on how many carbs you're having. If you're having like 20 to 30 grams of carbs, you probably need to eat that a little bit closer to your workout, or they're gonna pretty much be digested before you even finish. I definitely recommend doing about 400 calories worth of carbs. That's just me. You don't have to do that, but that feels the best for me. 70 or so grams are what I'm actually intaking, and that digests perfectly for me. along with keeps me pretty energized for the entire lift. 3 is down. On all my leg days, I do a bit of swinging leg kicks because my abductors are always super tight. This helps some, doesn't fully get them loosened up, but that's why I do a lot of warm-up sets. I've also been struggling with my patella tendon and some knee pain, so I started doing just a little bit of a more stagnant stretch, isolated stretch. Just really getting my quads loose and my knees some little extra bend before I actually get to doing some sort of quad or extension based exercise. Do this for about 10 seconds a leg and move on, and we'll get straight into the left. All right, exercise 1. So let's talk about rest times between warm-up sets and how many warm-up sets you should be doing. It's the perfect amount of warm-up sets. And the only answer to that is as many as you need. Warm-up sets are completely subjective. There is no objective answer to how many warm-up sets someone needs, because some days you're going to feel a little bit better than others, and some days you're going to feel a little bit worse. On top of that, you are not going to have the same, biomechanical makeup as your brother. I mean, think about a stranger that's not even related to you. So keep that in mind. You are completely different than everybody. If someone says do one warm-up set, do not listen to them. It's just stupid. Your body is not going to be able to perform the same with one warm-up set versus none. You're going to feel a lot better. It's going to be a lot safer as well. I do also like using warm-up sets to gauge the amount of weight I'm going to be doing that session, because you're not always going to get the same amount of rest. And it just helps me to go into every session feeling as confident as possible. What about rest time? And just like warm-up sets, rest time is also subjective, but there's a lot more studies around rest time, and we have a better idea of, what's better and what's worse. Now, for warm-up sets, I do only take about a minute or so, because they're usually lighter for the beginning half. And once I get up to, like the one warm-up set that's pretty heavy, right before my working set, I do take a 1 minute rest. So those 2 sets, so a couple things we need to go into there. The rep range, how the sets looked, and 2 sets. It's my sweet point right there. Now, I did not go up or down in weight from sets 1 to set 2, and that is because I hit the exact rep range I wanted to be. I wasn't at the top end of one, and I wasn't too low in the bottom end of the other on my first set. So I was able to do the exact same weight 2 sets in a row. Now, something really important a lot of people need to hear is putting your weight back when you're done. Like, you'd be surprised at how many people just don't do this. So please, guys, be a good Samaritan. Put your weight back when you're done. It's just going to make the gym a way better environment. Y'all might have noticed is there was no talking in between the working sets or leading up to the last warm-up before my working set. And that goes into mentality again. I'm not going to sacrifice, not being dialed in for that final set right there. And that's how a lot of y'all should view it. I personally do not believe you should be cutting it up with your boys and trying to go straight into, a set where you're going to failure. So keep that in mind, or try that next time you're training, because that could be the game changer for some insane progress. Unlike the adductor machine, It's not only my first exercise, but I have to build up to loading a lot of weight on. I did 3 to 4 warm-up sets. Here on the hamstring curl, I'll only need 2. I'll do this weight, I'll do the full stack and a little bit of added weight, and I'll go straight into my first working set. Something we talked about on the adductor, but not here, is rest times after a working set. So rest sets, rest periods between warm-ups versus rest periods between a working are very different. Warm-ups I typically do around 1 minute versus a working set I typically do about 3 to 5 minutes. Now this is going to vary exercise to exercise. You know, a deadlift is going to take a lot more energy than, you know, hamstring curl. That does not mean I need to do a 5-minute rest on a hamstring curl. I, you know, kind of vary between rest times, but usually 3 minutes is a good sweet spot no matter the exercise. So. A different leg extension, a shot. See how our knees feel between the two. Like I was saying earlier, I'm getting a little bit of like some tendonitis going on, so we're gonna see if swapping the leg extensions we use will help. Maybe get some slightly different tension profile going on. But this is a new one, and we've been struggling with that specifically in leg extensions. We're gonna go pretty light here. Just do 1 set. Kind of get our knees, our quads, more or less a good pump. And that way when we actually go to do our squat, that feels amazing. We even practice just training in certain range of motion right there. Cause this hurts, not gonna lie. We got it, so. You could almost call this a deload, guys. Who knows the exact reason for my knees really killing me so much. Could be bad form, a little bit of ego lifting, or just overtraining them. Because I mean, the machine I was using is heavily isolated on that tendon. So we're gonna come in, really just bust these out. Just really nice and slow. Let's see how this goes. But yeah, about double the weight. Throw our knee sleeves on, and we're gonna seatbelt in. Just keep this really stable. So. It's that real bottom half that hurts. I could do that all day. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. We'll do, because in the long run, what would you rather do? Just not train something fully for a few months and continue to progress, or would you rather push through it and injure yourself and not be able to train that entire body part for a very long time and atrophy and just set yourself back? There's a big difference, guys, between, you know, not being a baby and pushing through it and injury prevention. You'll kind of learn the difference between the two the longer you train and the more you learn your body. So listen to your body, guys. Sometimes it's trying to tell you something All you have to do is listen. A lot of mental fortitude, guys, because on these exercises that really suck, especially when a body part is really going through something, you have to really just dig deep and push through it. Probably not going to be a lot of talking in between the next couple exercises, so let's push through it, let's kill it, and really just speak to our soul with these. I want y'all to see, you should be treating every warm-up set like a real set. No matter the weight, go in, attack it. Hard stuff is out. Yeah, hack squat did not go good at all. We were hurting really badly, but we did our best to push through it because that's all we can do. One of the hardest things for me I'm struggling with is doing less weight. I feel weak. I feel like I look like I'm almost less of a man when I don't move as much weight. So it's actually very unmotivating and depressing internally whenever I can't do that weight like I'm used to. Luckily, deadlifts went pretty good. Moved a good amount of weight there. Last few sets of calves and abs because they are just as important as quads. That's kind of a crazy statement. Not as important, but very important. Don't skip them. Because I skipped them for years. And now I want to have that really crispy, good looking physique.
Finger in my mouth, and the sound when leather jackets hit the ground. You should hear when you're not around. Well, it's just us horny poets who can't wait to write it down. Swear we were only being honest. Do you like these little sonnets? Cause I wrote them just for you. Half wicked, ancient, sour. So be careful who you screw. Never call. I'm starting to suspect. I don't intend to do anything at all.
We wanna talk about sex, but we're not allowed. Well, you may not like it, but you better learn how, 'cause it's your turn now.
Now what's on your neck? Oh my.
I hope we're still friends, yeah, I hope you don't mind. I hope we're still friends, yeah, I hope you don't mind. I hope we're still friends, yeah, I hope you don't mind. I hope we're still friends, yeah, I hope you don't mind. I hope we're still friends, yeah, I hope you don't mind. I hope we're still friends, yeah, I hope you don't mind.
That is the full leg day. Obviously, I'm not moving as much weight as my previous video. My knees weren't bothering me at all then. There was a little bit of pain. I've had a little bit of pain on them for, past month or so. And it got really bad. I was only able to do one set on my squats right there. And I was only doing, like 50 pounds less. And I wasn't getting as many reps, so definitely a little bit unmotivating with that, but it'll come back. We just need to rehab a little bit better. Probably continue to do one set, so we're still progressing just a little bit less than we would if we were able to go all out. But we're gonna be recovering. So we're gonna make sure we keep our diet and sleep on point and just continue to stretch so that way it feels as good as possible. So hopefully that helps y'all. Maybe you can take some of the stuff we were talking about throughout my lift and apply it to your lifts to just continue to grow and be even better. Just really maximize your training. What matters the most within the gym is obviously going to be your mentality. If you don't come in with the right mindset, you are not going to push yourself as hard and you are really just going to be cutting yourself short. So hopefully that helps y'all out. Catch y'all in the next YouTube video. I love y'all. God loves y'all.